Welcome everyone to the Anti-Reviews Anti-Podcast, where we talk about this obscure Netflix show that you should definitely check out. This World Can't Tear Me Down. With me here is Erich and Weekend Warrior.
Yo!
Hello.
So what did you guys think of this show?
Alright,
It grew on
so
me.
Florian, I once again find myself in the position of having to admit that you actually have good taste about things. And when
Hell
you
yeah.
recommend something to me, I have some initial skepticism, but I eventually grow to like what you tell us to watch.
You see, I watch a lot of stuff, so when something is really good, I guess I can now share it with you, finally.
Mm-hmm. And I've actually created a system by which my reaction to your recommending me something is, and it's an acrostic, which means that every letter of your name, Florian, is a single step in the process here. So the first step is, first of all, fuck off.
Wow.
When someone recommends something to me, I have very little time, so my initial thought is I just can't figure this out. The second one, L, is let's see what this is. I actually put a modicum of effort in to see what the thing you've recommended to me is. The O is opt out. is
No!
I actually can't do it. The R is relent, which means I will do it. The I is I can't believe Florian actually has good taste. The A is analyze how this is something you would actually like or run into, because I generally think that, I don't know, the opinions of you have of the things we talk about, generally speaking, I don't agree with. So that you would find something on your own and then know that it's good and then recommend it out, and then I would also think it's good. It seems somewhat unlikely to me, but I guess I'm wrong. And then N for your name, never remember he was right about something.
So yeah, that's probably why the cycle continues.
I was gonna say, and then I just go right back into F where I say fuck off.
Yeah, this is
The
why it
cycle
takes.
continues.
That's why it takes so long to have Erich on the show.
Yeah, you'll tell me to watch something, and then 2 months later, I'll be like, okay, I finally watched it.
Yeah, and then
We can do an
Weekend has
episode
to
now.
binge it in a day, so he can see it in time while he still has to binge One Piece as well.
Well, that's the thing. I'm doing all kinds of other shit, so
Yep.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
All right, so Weekend, like you. How do you feel about this guy who sees Nazis everywhere in this world?
It's kind of funny because it's like, um, I really can't like get my thoughts out without spoiling. If that,
Well, let's just talk about it all then.
Yeah, let's
yeah.
go into the spoilers.
So the framing device of the show for people who are just tuning in, it's you got the protagonist Zero, who is currently at a police station and he's confessing internally, or we don't know that it was internal until the end of the show, rather. And we're recapping his version of the events. And what I like about the show, it's like he has his version of what's happening, and then at some point in the show, we get the perspective of some other character. What's actually happening? You can hear it because sometimes he dubs the voice of the character that he's talking to. I like that touch of it because it's like he's thinking of what happened in his head when it could actually be some sort of other different take on it. Which it's such a so weird that there's this armadillo that it's such a
Yeah.
it's a weird
Well,
it's a weird experience because it's like it shouldn't work, but it does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then people
Is
are
the Armadillo
randomly
his
dying.
conscience?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it
so.
is. So the thing is
Yeah.
that this guy has made, I assume, some kind of comic, and then he has made a movie that I can't find because it's really obscure, and then he's made a Netflix show before this one that was actually really good. And I didn't know that he made another one just because it just came out just this year, so I was stoked to see it, and it was even better than the last one. And in the
Wow.
first one, he had this armadillo stuff, and it was, well, obviously kind of cringe, you know. But then he like has at the same time all his fucked up life stuff going on, which is very interesting, of course. So I guess he's just still tied to the armadillo from from his earlier days where he made the armadillo movie.
Stuff, yeah.
But he's definitely evolved, and he's telling a really interesting show about him living in Rome, and there being all kinds of far-right people that he disagrees with. And despite having a Netflix show, apparently he goes out and tears down Nazi posters and maybe even gets into fights.
Florian, would you like to be like this? Would you want to go out and tear down posters and then get picked on by Nazis?
No, he's a lunatic. Like never put yourself out there to fight the good fight. Like, why even bother? You got money, just donate to the faction that you want to support. Jesus.
Oh wow. Okay. I think this show is interesting and fascinating because I started it out, and so like I watched the Italian dialogue version.
You did?
So I'm
Wow.
I'm not listening to the English part. And so he is speaking so quickly and the subtitles are going so fast, and like it took me a little while to like get caught up to how quickly he speaks and how much he's saying. And he'll like oftentimes shift into like a fictionalized version of himself, or like introduce like pop culture analogies for the things he's talking about. And so like once you get into the rhythm of what he's saying, it's a lot more understandable and you can kind of groove with what's happening. But there's the fact that it's animated, and some of the like characters in the thing are like dinosaurs, some of them are different kind of animals. So like he does eventually explain all of that, but initially there's something to the cartoony nature of certain parts of it that threw me off, but it's eventually explained and dug into. Um, it's a very like autobiographical story because he's telling things from his point of view, but he does with his friends and with other people take their thoughts into account, and you kind of realize that he's very neurotic and caught up in his own sense of things, but he's open-minded enough to bring their points of view into it, and I think that's just fascinating. Like he really makes it seem like he's just this one point of view, and other people have other reasons to do the things they're doing. And I feel like you don't see that a lot of times. A lot of times it's just stuck to the one character, and you're not going to explore those other viewpoints.
Oh my god, that was so powerful when he was like living his life, and he's lecturing this girl about how
Yep.
how he's not, how she's not supporting him and fighting the good fight, and then like he completely didn't even consider her life, and how she's just been treading water and not really getting anywhere with her career, and he expects her to help him out, that was so good.
And also like he has put her on a pedestal of she is this morally right person who can never do anything wrong and is kind of my lighthouse to guide how morality should be. But when she does something that he disagrees with, it like majorly shakes how he can visualize these people.
Yeah, I mean
It's very interesting.
It's very interesting how it very literally spells that out, but I guess it still feels kind of earned, so that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like she's basically saying like, while you were out there succeeding and I was helping you along and you just getting better and better and better, I've been stuck back at the starting line, and if something is threatening my little advancement, I'm not going to necessarily go against that inherently because it's at least helping me partially. The like main conflict of the show is that there's a bunch of these, I think, Syrian refugees. Was it Syria?
Yeah, Syrian or like Middle Eastern persuasion at least.
Yeah, a bunch of these refugees have taken up residence in their little Roman community, and a lot of people in the community didn't want them there, and essentially that's happened time after time after time. They've been sheltered in different parts of Italy and then have been chased off from place to place to place, so they don't have homes. And I think it's really great the way he eventually does talk to some of those people, and he gets their point of view on it, and even their point of view is not the exact same as his. They're not like telling him, yes, you should go out and fight for us. They're kind of like, we've had to fight our entire lives. This is kind of no different to us. So we're just willing to fight for our survival no matter what. Like I don't know. He kind of not deserves. He kind of thinks he deserves to be like patted on the back or like told that he's doing great things, but like yeah, he kind of deflates his own moral
Yeah.
superiority throughout the show. It's really good.
I think it's just to add on Erich's point. Like I think the perspective angle of the show is very important because the introduction of the show is like the theme song. It's like pieces of the people are interchanging,
Mhm.
and it the face, the nose, and the mouth changes every so often, and it
Mhm.
ties to the ending. I really like the ending of the show. It's such a great encapsulation of that perspective, that idea of perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I can't really say much without gushing and spoiling everything. Can I just spoil it? Because
didn't
it's like
Yeah,
didn't we
just spoil
already
it.
go into
yeah, because
spoilers? But yeah,
I
okay.
Yeah.
really feel like I think the heart of the show is ironically Cesare.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
He,
For
yeah,
sure.
it's
he's
so
like
good.
the big guy who is this. He's been basically thrown around his whole life, and it was sad when he was like pouring his heart out at the ending, where it's like I think his grievances were legitimate,
Right.
and it's like darkly funny because his fellows are just like, what is he talking about? We're just racist. Like
I mean, yeah.
they're basically there to destroy the people in the church in the school, and what the show does, it's very very interesting because it actually doesn't condemn the racists
Oh,
because
it condemns the
I think it
racists.
condemns the racist,
Jesus.
but I think that there's individual
yeah,
people that are
individuals,
caught
yeah,
up
yeah, it's like
that are like they're caught up in that mindset because of like specific disadvantages that they've faced in
yeah,
their
yeah,
lives, and like it's kind of a transference of I have been picked on or displaced from my experience, so now when I see somebody else who they feel is benefiting while they
it's not
were kept
fair.
behind, that's not fair, and they're trying to take that out on someone else, but that's someone else who has also been displaced and is also kind of not asking for any of this to happen to them. So like the feelings that they have are kind of valid. They're just pushing it onto the wrong people and like taking it out on the wrong party, generally speaking.
Maybe I this like wasn't one of the racist guys in the sea. I like that when everyone's in the ocean, and basically we're all just trying to cope with the situation as best as we
Yeah,
can.
right.
That was like do I recall that correctly? One of the guys there was the racist guy, part of Cesare's group, or
When was the sea? What do you mean? Like with the
like
lighthouse
in the
scene?
At the very
where
end.
he's like summing everything up when the girl finally has her own voice and she's talking,
Ah,
right?
okay.
And then Zero goes, "Oh, I like this story when I was young about the Marianas Trench and how it's like 12 feet deep and in between Rome. It's like one of the
Oh yeah.
people there are like is like or like two of them were the racists, and then one of them was part of the not the squad, the rally on Zero's side. Also, it's
Hmm.
like
Well, I mean,
like
like most of them
I
are
think it does
literally.
condemn racism, but it's like
Yeah, I should
it's
say.
like no, it's like what am I trying to say? It's like
Well, the thing is that it's like it has that perspective to some extent, but then
yeah,
like in the other way, they're all drawn as literal Nazis. Like obviously that's not what they looked like. Like they're probably just
yeah,
like regular guys who vote libertarian or whatever, and they just really don't want this refugee camp, you know. And the show sees them as complete Nazis, and then like some of them obviously like changed their mind with the heartwarming speech at the end, and Cesare, of course, he changes his mind earlier, and then they just beat him up, you know. So they're pretty
yeah.
rotten, and the show definitely probably makes them out to be more rotten than they even are. I mean, like that fight seems to have gone pretty brutal, you know. But
No, it's not like I guess yeah, one of the Nazi guys were in the sea. So that's like what was he trying to say there? Like everyone has their own perspective, is that right?
well, yeah, I mean
But not
that's
really forgiving.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess he still drew them as Nazis, but then I guess they weren't always Nazis. That's pretty interesting.
Like
I mean,
it's that one guy.
He's specifically focused on Cesare because he's someone he grew up with and has a personal connection to.
Oh no no
I'm
no no
sure if
not
he
even
had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Weekend.
not even Cesare. It's like one other Nazi guy was there.
Yeah,
In the
No,
scene.
sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I think I vaguely remembered, even though it's been like 2 months since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would
But
have.
it's such a good like.
Yeah.
It's like a good ending to such a nuanced show, which is it's
Yeah.
so weird that I'm saying that about this show. It's so great. Like I
Yeah.
didn't
'Cause
expect it.
initially, I'm a bit put off by like the cartoon nature of it, and I think I mentioned this before, but it's kind of like I kind of couldn't square having both super serious in real life topics explored with this very cartoony style. And it's not even just it being a cartoon, it's being this very specific cartoony style with like animals and all of this other stuff. And eventually I got used to it, but it's just I had that initial just like I can't take this seriously. But then you just get used to it. You get accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it makes sense to me. You could have all kinds of commentary or whatever serious story and still have, like, silly looking characters. And, I mean, he's a cartoonist, so he would, like, he would turn them into weird animals, so that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe he even drew, like little cartoons for the newspaper where, where they were all, like, this kind of stuff. I mean, there's like all kinds of stuff like that too. What am I thinking
So
of?
he explains the animal breakdowns that he has, where it's like the like other more left wing people he describes as dinosaurs because they don't really exist anymore. It's people that care about their communities, care to
Yeah.
organize, care to like actually do something about various events.
And
So like I
because
understand
they're
that, and then
cool, that he made them dinosaurs because dinosaurs are cool. Don't forget
right,
Yeah.
right.
that.
And then
Basically.
eventually he talks about like the different politicians that are making decisions here, like framing them as drafts who like with their long necks are looking down at people. And I can't remember what some of the other animals are, but like yeah, he has a very clear like reason for making people the animals he's depicting them as.
I think there were platypuses that were just like
Yeah, platypus.
indecisive.
Yeah.
They would just go along with whatever. Yeah, it's pretty somewhat insightful, you know. But I guess the people in his life weren't really any creatures. And when he just reached out to Cesare, that was so cool. Like at first he was like, "Oh, so cringe. I'm gonna hang out with this guy again," and then it turns out that he had like this really like fucked up past where he was like a full on drug addict, and he went to rehab and he got facial tattoos, and
Yeah.
like he notices that he doesn't have anything in common anymore. And then later when the other shoe drops and it turns out that he's actually been like running with the Nazis, that was so powerful as well. Damn.
Yeah.
It's such a
And it's kind of like I get where he's coming from.
yeah,
Like
he
I
got
mean,
something like
not
that.
the Nazi shit, obviously. Like the like it's not like when he said like I said I'd visit him, but it doesn't really happen like that because you drift apart. That's kind of just like how life goes. And the visual he used for that, it's like I can't believe this person used to be a big part of my life, and he uses a comet as a metaphor. It's like bright and shining. It's important, and
But
then it's just
brief and it
gone.
goes away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it like he's such a good artist. Like you get the metaphor immediately just by like when he drew Cesare in the sand, and he's like struggling not to get the water waves with the sand. Like what will happen to this memory we have of him? It's like that's how life goes. It's
Yeah.
really powerful.
But I like how,
Pretty
how
deep.
how instead we later on get the actual story kind of more where it's like, oh yeah, like Cesare had these cool friends, and what's the main character even called? So he just had this really stupid.
Zero? Zero, the main character?
Really, he's called Zero. Fuck, it's okay,
Yeah, I think
whatever.
he named himself also in the show like Zero.
Either way, he had this really stupid haircut that just made him so unpopular, and that was the
No,
reason
the punk haircut, yeah.
why they
And then
drifted
he got beat
apart.
up. Yeah. he, he he didn't care because Punk let him express himself in in such a authentic way to him. That's why he ripped it apart.
Yeah, it's great. And like Cesare is like genuinely a really retarded person, and he just latches on to whatever he can get. Like he would hang with the popular kids and just do what they do, and then he would just take drugs and just continue taking
but
drugs until his life is fucked. And then when he's sober, then I guess, yep, the Nazis. That's where I'm gonna go with. Yeah.
no, like Cesar is sad because it's like he's looking for a place that he could belong, and they keep throwing him away.
Mhm.
It's sad.
I mean, yeah,
Like
but he is like,
and it goes back also to the ending when the girl says, when we don't want to see something anymore, we just throw it into the lake in the middle of the night. And that's where Cesar is going. He feels thrown away. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess we don't know. Is like, when did this
I
even
mean,
happen?
obviously, it's like we don't really know what happens to Cesare after that, but I think like what Cesare's feeling or what happened to him, I think that was a good metaphor because there's this undercurrent of being left behind with Cesare. He's a ghost,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and that's what he was. I don't know if it'll continue. That's the sad part, right?
yeah, it'd be great. They haven't renewed it yet, but they might. I guess the chances are shrinking, sadly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but what? I have a question. Like, did this really happen to the guy?
Well,
Like
I,
in
I
real life?
assume not entirely, but
I assume a lot of it did, but I don't know how much of it is fictionalized or like
Yeah.
made a bit more like compact so that you can watch it in a TV show form, kind of.
well, to be
Like how much of it is embellished also,
But a
yeah.
lot of it feels true. It feels at
Yeah.
least like it's how real relationships work out. The stuff where it's like people in your life kind of like disappear, and like
Yeah.
if you do not do the effort of keeping in contact with them, you
They're
don't
just
know what's
gone.
going on with them. So they might have a perfectly like legitimate reason for not contacting you, but if you don't do that work, it's just going to disappear. So like
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Scary.
it's well, I mean,
Like I just remembering my high school friends that I
it,
haven't catched up with, and I don't know what's going on with them. I
well,
do have a friend
Mhm.
group
well, they're
from
clearly
high
now
school that I'm still
Nazis and
friends
drug
with.
addicts, all because of
Yeah,
you.
they're not, so that's good.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. Just because you stopped hanging out with them, admit it.
Of course. I was that
Yeah, they
I was
entirely
that
started doing drugs because of you.
that I was their glue to society.
Yeah, all because of your
Uh-huh.
stupid haircut, you know.
Yeah, I decided to go bald.
Wow, that's
That's
even
the
worse.
reason.
They're like, I don't want to hang out with a baldy.
With a bald albino. I'm not what a non cool guy. Get out of here, white man.
Well, Cesare's bald and he's pretty cool, you know.
Wait, no, he's not. What?
Isn't
He was
Maybe he
he?
bald
shaves
when
his
they were
head at some
young.
point?
Yeah, when they were
When they
young.
were young. Okay,
Oh
I
yeah,
see.
I
I see.
guess so.
He's got blonde hair later on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's going to Sig Heil fucking pose. Fuck that.
yeah. It would make sense for him to be bald then when he's with the Nazis. Oh well,
Yeah.
be a real skinhead. So I guess like in general, this story is like fairly small. You know that like the stakes
Mhm.
aren't that big. Like okay, so like they may actually be successful in driving the immigrants out of town, but
Mhm.
like I mean most of society wouldn't really care that much, which is why it's
No, they
possible
probably wouldn't.
in the first
Yeah.
place. And this guy
Yeah.
like he might go to jail for 5 years. I mean that sucks for him, but it's clearly not earth shattering, you know. So I guess it's interesting how this fairly small story can just unfold and still be really impactful. But also I don't know like when it happened because like he's supposed to already have had the Netflix show which came out like 2 years
Right.
ago. So did he just like conflate a story from earlier with his current career or what does it all
Well,
mean?
I think that these are the like the Syrian was in the last couple of years, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was like in the last 5 years.
Damn. So he actually went on a talk show, and then just before that, they had the Nazi on, and he really had to bite his tongue. But then it didn't matter because he didn't actually show up to the talk show because he was busy getting beaten up in an actual
Yeah.
riot.
Right.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. I mean, I guess if I miss a talk show, that'd be a pretty good story to tell about it. Poor guy.
I fucking love the song at the end. Like what? Guns in my head and they won't go. Then
Oh yeah, yeah.
spirits in my head and they won't go. But the gun still rattles. It's such a. It feels bittersweet. Like we're in this shit. He's such a great artist. I'm gonna say
Mhm.
he
You kind of
really.
gotta admire it. You gotta admire how much
Yeah.
he's doing. Like it's
Yeah.
animation. He's blending that with like pop culture stuff and
Yeah.
songs and yeah.
There's this sense of humor all throughout, but when it's serious, it's serious. Like with the anti-Seco, that was fucking funny. And the wanna get a
Yeah.
smoothie? It's like he says the wrong things.
Oh,
It's just
he likes the different food, but
uh,
then he also is evil and hates the minorities.
yeah.
Just throws Molotov cocktails. Uh, yeah, I guess it's interesting how they have this. I mean, Seiko in general is like such an odd character because he's such a man of a few words, but he has, I guess, these deep convictions that just are like so like beneath the surface, you know.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
like how yeah, it's that other thing with the perspective when Seko calls him out like I've been an orphan all my life. I don't pick on anyone who's more unfortunate than me. Why are these fuckers doing
Right.
that?
Hmm.
That was such a powerful like he doesn't rant as much, but when he did do that, I was like, oh fuck, yeah. Tell him, son.
I love when he's like they characterize them as always like throwing bombs or like having a bomb or
Yeah.
something. And I love that like there's an evil version of him on the other side
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the Nazi side.
I mean, I guess it's funny he doesn't look down on anyone, but I mean, he does apparently blow up things. I guess do they just never hurt anyone? Pretty lucky, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. Like he also went. He actually bombed his cousin's wedding. You
Yeah,
can check it
yeah.
out online. Like I'm curious now. Did it really fucking happen, or is he embellishing it now? Yeah, it's like that's the weird thing. Or like I think Erich pointed it out. The relationships depicted feel real, right?
Hmm.
So it's like this weird cartoon depiction of reality that feels real, and he accomplished it. That's amazing.
Hmm. And like I think it's the kind of thing where if it was a more straightforward telling of it, you might not be as interested or as invested in it.
Hmm.
But because it's kind of abstracted by the more cartoonish nature or like using animals or using all these like pop culture like digressions, you can kind of get into it easier and you really feel for the characters more overall.
Yeah, it's really interesting that there was this other show that he did before then that I'm not gonna spoil, but like it all builds up to a really big emotional payoff, and it it's pretty similar to this, but without all the politics that made it particularly interesting to me. And
Hmm.
I mean, I guess you guys can watch that whenever you want if you want to podcast about that one.
I'm interested in seeing. I added his stuff to my Netflix uh, watch list, so I'm interested in checking more of it out.
Yeah, I guess that'd be pretty good.
One
So
is called like "Tear Along the Dotted Line" or something.
yeah, this also has like this theme of things just being like cutouts occasionally, right? So there's the visual metaphor of that as well. That I guess may have felt a little strange to you at the start now, but
Hmm.
I guess it doesn't like go into the story too much. But in the other one, it's just like, oh yeah, you gotta live your life upon these expectations. You gotta tear along the dotted line, and it's fairly insightful. You know, it's crazy how much really good shit is just out there on Netflix and wherever else. So yeah, guess I'll tell you whenever else I find something like this.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
totally.
amazing. Yeah, it's weird, Florian. That Erich is right. Like we haven't watched a show where I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. I haven't I haven't watched like, oh, this is shit, Florian. How fucking dare you show this to my eyes? I haven't gone to that route yet. Like even like the Woman King, I enjoyed that because
Hell yeah.
I'm not invested into the American politics as much. But if you
Hmm.
look into the politics section of it, it feels hypocritical.
I mean
But
the African
as a standalone
politics.
movie,
You
it's like
mean?
just this coming of age, queen kinging story.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
forgive the historical inaccuracies, like that's to be expected out of most movies. You know, they're pretty loose with the
Yeah,
facts.
because I kind of agree with you if they didn't go so hard in the marketing. Because I remember like Viola Davis going, "If you don't watch this, you're a racist." Like, don't say that about your fucking movie. Just say this is a depiction, a different take on African history. I hope people appreciate it. How hard is that? Like, if
Well,
if you
probably wouldn't
go,
have worked out
this is
too
a fun
well.
movie. I hope people enjoy it. Like what Tom Cruise does. You know, like fucking let people enjoy movies. That's why Barbie is one of. It's like a celebration. Don't don't lecture people into watching your fucking movie or media because people don't like to be lectured.
Yeah, well,
That
that
okay.
doesn't seem to hold up either because they released a lot of like non-controversial Disney and Pixar and whatever movies, and nobody fucking watched them, despite the fact that they were actually really good. So, I think controversy
What are those?
probably sells better. What did you say?
Maybe it's because of fatigue also. Like they don't want to watch it anymore because of the bad previous experience.
There weren't many bad Disney movies. No,
Nah, come on.
no, there weren't. There was a single
Come on.
bad.
You like the Lion King remake?
I mean, I
The
was
live action Lion King.
well, I
The
was
live
talking more
action, the
about the
quote unquote
Pixar
live
stuff.
action.
I was talking about the Pixar stuff more, but I mean, like those weren't too bad either. Okay, jeez.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, I think we're
They're
okay.
very bad, Florian. The
Let's go
live
back.
action Lion King was terrible. Come on.
I guess we could go back to this instead of just screaming at Florian for having a bad day.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
Florian,
like
I started
Seth
this
Rogen as a
podcast.
pig. Okay.
I started this podcast talking about how I should listen to you more, that your opinions are not so bad, and now you're saying the live action Lion King is pretty good. What? You can't give me a break. I try to give you
Well,
Yeah,
credit, and then you do this shit.
you're just gonna have to deal with the fact that I like some stuff that you don't like. Okay, I pick out movies that you like. Okay, jeez, I know that people could have different tastes. Poor Erich, so confused. As you call upon your inner armadillo to square this circle. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Just this guy having this real life adventure, and all along it's just like this armadillo raiding his fridge, talking to him, being all snarky, you know, like blowing through all his supposed lies that he's telling himself. Just he's already so self-reflectionary, you know, and then the armadillo goes like, "Ha! But have you considered that was all bullshit?" And then he's like, "Oh my god, the bullshit
yeah.
is everywhere." Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a great show though. Except for that armadillo, honestly.
Oh, you don't like the armadillo guy?
Yeah, I think it's probably too much of a relic from the older stuff that he's done. Uh, well, I hope everyone checks out This World Can't Tear Me Down and the other one that he's done as well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
agree.
Well,
I'm glad we're all in agreement about it.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's got like these 30-minute episodes of 8 episodes, but
Is it 8? I thought it was 6 for some reason.
oh yeah, probably was 6. Actually,
Yeah, it's 6. Yeah.
okay.
I
Well,
just saw.
damn, it's
Yeah, because I watched it over 3 days, like just 2020, 2020.
yeah, it's even shorter. Wow, it gets so
Yeah.
much done in this short time. They really should do more stuff like this if they can find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Italianness is so interesting too. Can you believe that this takes place in like Rome, the city that's existed for like 3,000 years or however long, and it's like been at the center of of politics all this time, and now it's just this backwater where there's like a bunch of Nazis and a bunch of anti-fascists that are clashing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's pretty good too. Like we might see
Yep.
some kind of weird Asian stuff on Netflix occasionally, but this is some good European stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
you
was
can-
gonna say, I feel like when I was like interrogating how Florian see this, I'm like Austria, Italy, like any kind of European cartoon or animation thing, you might have a closer connection to than I would here in the U.S.
No,
And
I don't think
Weekend
so.
is so far away from any of it.
Well, Weekend's closer to us than to you, I think. But it just showed up on my recommendations. I don't know. I just I looked for all animation, really, all new animation. I don't really go back and watch like all the really low resolution stuff, even though it'd probably be good shows, But just a waste, I guess. Can't really put up with those low resolution cartoons most of the time. But yeah, new animation is like so crazy sometimes. So much good stuff out there.
An embarrassment of riches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's another one that's called Captain Fall, and it's a little silly with the humor, but it's got some real crazy drama in it. And I'm making a video where I'm making a tier list of how stupid the characters are, because they're like incredibly low IQ, and that's that's the concept, I guess, of the show. So I don't know, would you guys be into that? I guess
Captain Fowl?
Captain Fall, yeah. I mean,
can you, well, you can just show me the link. But yeah, sure, why not?
just Fall, like the season,
Oh, okay, Captain Fall.
Yeah, it's about a captain who is really incompetent, and then the cartel hires him as a as a fall guy for their.
That's why he's Captain Fall.
Yeah, well, his name is also Fall, so there is some very thick comedy here. But they hire him for his incompetency, and then they have all these crazy adventures where they're doing just like the most horrible human trafficking and shit, and then he's just like putting on a smile and he's oblivious to it, and like it's so good, and I really hope they're making a second season as well. So if you guys want to see that, we could maybe like have a little podcast for it, since I'm already making like a big video on it.
Sure.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, everyone check out your plugs. Go on.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter x.com. I always do that.
Yeah.
At TZARREVAN, and my letterboxd is Revan1138.
I have a video about how terrible Spider-Man Lotus is. It's called Spider-Man Lotus Bad, and it's on my channel at Weekend Warrior.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Man, we didn't even get to hear your perspective on that. Man.
Well, you can watch my video. Plug. Yeah, you can watch my video for my take on it.
Yeah, one day I'll watch that video. But isn't it just crazy how like the movie just suddenly shifts, and he's like in a room with like a million Spider-Man things, just completely obliterating the fourth wall. So
insane.
I hate the movie. It's so stupid. and one of my commenters pointed it out also. Spider-Man was the guy who treated his friends terribly, but at the end, it's like they're apologizing to him almost, and they learned something from the experience, and he never fucking apologizes to his friends. Such a bad movie. I was like, oh my god, you're right. Holy shit.
Oh man,
Such a bad fucking take.
Who even thought like Spider-Man? Let's take away all the action, and then let's just turn him into an asshole, and his friends are assholes too, and then they're sad for no reason. That would be our movie. Sad for.
No, there is a reason for them to be sad.
Oh
but
yeah,
that's the only thing they feel
yeah,
throughout this whole fucking thing. So it's a fucking miserable experience. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because one of them died off screen. Yeah, that's even better. Just like
yeah, and there's no context to their relationship, so I really don't give a shit. What a great movie.
Yeah, we just have to rely on like the fact that we know Spider-Man. Otherwise, this movie would be even worse. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the movie doesn't work if you don't know who the fuck Spider-Man is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anyways.
In conclusion, you should watch The World Can't Tear Me Down.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Alright, subscribe, smash that like button too. Bye,
Helps
everyone.
with the algorithm, kids.
And it's too bad these podcasts don't get more views. Oh well.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
You just have to grind that shit,
Yeah.
Maybe on episode 100, you know, we'll see.
Well, I'll probably have to do more video essays because those might get more views. Or maybe I'll have to clickbait in some way. If only I had time. Did I
The
say
YouTuber's dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, I made a second channel, but then now the podcast would need a third channel. What a dilemma indeed.
Wow.
Yep. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.